Kilogram E. The real history of the Soviet Union's most feared agency. Few organizations in modern history are surrounded by as much fear, mystery, and legend as the Kilogram D. For decades, its name became synonymous with surveillance, repression, and absolute control. Operating largely in the shadows, the Kilogram shaped governments, destroyed lives, and influenced global events during one of the most tense periods in human history, the Cold War. This is the real story of the Kilogram B, the Soviet Union's intelligence agency and secret police. Origins and revolution and choice. To understand that Kilogram B, we must go back to the year 1917 during the Russian Revolution. After the fall of the Tsarist monarchy, Russia descended into chaos. Strikes, armed revolts, sabotage, and political violence spread rapidly across the former Russian Empire. The Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in October 1917, but ruling the country proved far more difficult than overthrowing the old regime. Opposition came from all sides: monarchists, socialists, anarchists, and even rival revolutionary factions. To survive, the new Bolshevik government created a tool designed to eliminate all enemies of the state. On December 20, 1917, the Shepa was born. Its mission was simple and brutal: identify, suppress, and destroy counter-revolutionary threats. The Red Terror. During the Russian Civil War, the Shepa expanded rapidly, reaching more than 100,000 agents. Its methods included home raids, confiscation of property, arbitrary arrests, public executions. This period became known as the Red Terror. Hundreds of thousands were imprisoned, deported, or executed. Fear became a constant presence in daily life. But repression did not end with the Civil War. Instead, it became more organized, more institutionalized, and more efficient. From brutality to bureaucracy. In 1922, with the official formation of the Soviet Union, the Shepa was reorganized into the State Political Directorate, known as the EPO. Violence continued, but now it was wrapped in legal language and bureaucratic structure. The Soviet security system also began to look outward. One of its most famous early intelligence operations was Operation Trust, a sophisticated deception in which Soviet intelligence created a fake anti-Bolshevik resistance movement to lure real opponents into exposing themselves. Once identified, they were arrested or eliminated. The system was evolving, learning not only how to repress, but how to deceive. Stalin and the Great Purge. In the 1930s, under Joseph Stalin, Soviet security services were reorganized again, becoming part of the ACT, the People's Commissariat for Internal Affairs. With extraordinary powers granted by secret orders, the F did not limit itself to enemies of the regime. It turned inward. Communist Party members, military officers, intellectuals, and even longtime revolutionaries were arrested, tortured, or executed. This period became known as the Great Purge. Entire sections of Soviet leadership were eliminated. Loyalty offered no protection. As Leon Trotsky later wrote, Stalin transformed the security apparatus into a weapon not just against enemies, but against history itself. World War I and expanding power. During World War I, the ECT played a crucial role. Beyond internal security, it was tasked with preventing desertion within the Red Army. Soldiers who retreated without orders could be executed on the spot. At the same time, Soviet intelligence expanded its foreign operations, clashing directly with Nazi Germany's Gestapo. Espionage became as vital to victory as tanks and artillery. The birth of the Kilogram B. After Stalin's death, in 1953, the Soviet security system was restructured once again. On March 13, 1954, a new organization was created, the Committee for State Security, better known as the Kilogram G. Contrary to popular myth, the Kilogram was not a chaotic secret police force. It was a highly structured institution, divided into 16 directorates, each responsible for specific areas such as foreign intelligence, counterintelligence, internal political surveillance, military security, economic and industrial protection, communications, and cryptography. At its peak, the KGB employed hundreds of thousands of officers, agents, informants, scientists, and analysts. Life as a KGB agent. Recruitment was selective. The KGB actively sought candidates with strong academic, linguistic, or technical skills, people who did not stand out. Absolute loyalty to the Communist Party was essential. Training included surveillance and counter-surveillance, infiltration and disguised psychological manipulation, cryptography, poisons and chemical agents. Many agents lived double lives for decades without being exposed. To some Soviet citizens, KGB officers were heroes. To others, they were a silent, omnipresent source of fear. Cold War operations. During the Cold War, the KGB expanded its influence far beyond Soviet borders. It carried out assassinations abroad, infiltration of foreign governments, industrial and technological espionage, disinformation campaigns. One of the most infamous cases occurred in 1978, when Bulgarian dissident George Markov was assassinated in London using a poisoned pellet fired from a modified umbrella, an operation widely attributed to Soviet intelligence. The KGB also secretly supported pacifist and anti-nuclear movements in Western countries, aiming to weaken NATO from within. Espionage was no longer just about information. It was about shaping reality itself. The beginning of the end. In the 1980s, reforms introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev, perestroika, and glasnost began to weaken the Soviet system. Censorship loosened. Dissent grew. The economy deteriorated. In August 1991, hardline communist factions, supported by elements within the KGB, attempted a coup to stop the reforms. The coup failed. Within months, the KGB was officially dissolved. By December 1991, the Soviet Union itself ceased to exist. Legacy. For 37 years, the KGB stood as one of the most powerful and feared intelligence agencies in the world. Like the CIA in the United States, it often appeared more powerful than the state it served. Much of its history remains classified. Some files were destroyed, others disappeared, and many secrets were never recorded at all. Because some organizations may vanish but their shadows remained. A closing line, optional. Some archives were never made to be opened.